StockPulse newsroom. We are talking Giga metals today. Giga trades as GIGA, Toronto Venture Exchange. And I've got Mark Jarvis, the CEO. And Mark, boy, I tell you, talk about a whopper, some news here. You agreed to establish a joint venture to develop the Turnagain Nickel Project with the Mitsubishi Corporation. Mark, I appreciate you taking the time here. It's been a while. I know this is a deal you've been working on for quite some time now. It's come to fruition. I guess congratulations, and please lay out the highlights here for investors.
Well, I mean, it's huge for us. I mean, we've been talking to Mitsubishi for more than 3 years and talking seriously over the last year, and we have been through an extensive due diligence. I can tell you, the Japanese in general are very careful, but we passed. We've passed the due diligence. We pass every smell test, and I got to say that they are a pleasure to work with. They are delightful to work with. It's a corporate culture that values, honor and keeping your word and things like that, with, old-fashioned values. And they've got, it's Mitsubishi Corp. You have to be careful. There's all sorts of Mitsubishis. It's a wide-ranging. They're all over the place. I believe they're the largest in total. They're the largest company in Japan, but there's various companies that trade on their own, like they've got their own public listings. So this is Mitsubishi Corp. And Mitsubishi Corp is a participant in nine producing mines worldwide. I mean, they've got operating partners that include, I'm just looking at the list here, BHP, Rio Tinto, Anglo, Antofagasta, Teck, Glencore, I mean, yeah, well, it's so they know the mining business. I mean, they're traders. They've got a big presence in natural gas as well, but they've got in-house mining expertise. And they haven't told me all the companies that they've looked at or all the projects that they've looked at because of confidentiality and so forth. But I suspect, just knowing how thorough they are, I suspect they've looked at every project on the planet and they came up with us. So it's a huge validation, and our phones are already starting to ring. I mean, we sold 15% of the project. They got, I think, a really good deal, but they got the first mover deal, and it's only for 15%. And for us, it's a good enough deal. It's a better deal than going and selling stock in the market. But the next bite, we're looking for a much higher project valuation. So we'll see how that goes. Nothing happens till it happens, as you know.
Yeah, so I guess let's talk a little bit about the future here. Certainly, the market took care of you today. They're excited about it. Guide us a little bit here.
Well, the project valuation was, roughly, call it 55 million Canadian. And, the market doesn't reflect that. I mean, the market's up a little, but in my view, it should be up a lot more than this. That's okay. The market will catch up. The market will figure it out. It's not hard math for the analysts to do. And so, they just you just have to look at, okay, 8 million for 15%. What's that project valuation? What does that imply about what Giga should be trading at? And we're well below that. So people can do their own math. But again, I think that Mitsubishi got a bargain, but we got a great partner. And so it's going to help us, I think, to leverage to higher project valuations for the next customer.
Yeah. So I guess when we're talking about a market that everything looks on sale here, as you just mentioned here, you should probably be a lot higher than you are. What ultimately, I guess, get out of the Giga box for a minute, Mark, and let's talk about the bigger market here. How do you kind of see the conditions going here? You should be in demand for quite a while.
Well, I mean, there's been these short-term headwinds, mostly caused by the zero COVID policy in China. I mean, that's had a huge impact on copper. I mean, the whole base metals, sector, and nickel. But that is, that can't last forever. And the basic thesis that you need more copper, you need more nickel, you need more lithium for this electric vehicle revolution, that's still intact. And so you've got a strongly bullish story, hitting some short-term headwinds caused by, frankly, a silly COVID policy in China.
Yeah, you brought it up. Let's dig into that. I guess I'm not as schooled as on that. I know I've talked to Chen Lin before, and he's said, yeah, I think probably to your point, there's a lot of money sitting on the sidelines as well over there, waiting for this COVID policy. So yeah, what does your intel tell you on how soon will this end?
I have no idea with the Chinese. I mean, probably until after, the big meeting where, Xi gets, anointed as, beloved leader for life, once he's consolidated his control, then he'll, maybe he'll start losing up, or maybe he'll tighten up further. Who knows? I mean, he's suffering from the dictator syndrome where everybody tells him what he wants to hear because everybody's afraid to tell him the truth. The zero COVID policy makes no sense, but it is having a real impact on China and therefore a real impact on base metals.
Yeah. Well, let's reel this in here with a takeaway message from Giga here. I put one on the board here. You're delighted, but you say there's much more room for the next one here. So I guess tell investors and current shareholders what the next one might be.
Well, we're talking to automobile manufacturers and battery manufacturers. That's what we're concentrating on because they're the ones that need the nickel. They're the ones that know they need the nickel long term. They're starting to figure it out, and I've seen lots of evidence of that. That the old model was the supply chains were kind of just in time and worldwide, and automobile manufacturers didn't need to own the supplies because they had these supply chains in place. But two things, the war in Europe has reminded them that geopolitical risk is real. And then everybody's getting nervous about China. Like, what happens to your supply chain if China invades Taiwan? So it's becoming apparent that if you're going to be a manufacturer in the US, you need your supply chains close to home and in friendly hands. And maybe you even need to own some of those supply chains just to make sure that you've got your supply chains. And so this is the strategic shift in thinking that I think that the automobile makers are going through. And here we are. This is a project that is absolutely designed to take nickel and cobalt to the cathode. And it's simple, it's low risk technically, and it's huge. And so, here we are, and we've just been validated by Mitsubishi. So I think the car companies are understanding that most of their due diligence is done.
Okay, well, certainly a lot to pay attention to now that you got this deal in place, and certainly looks like you're looking for more. So we'll look forward to checking back in again. Mark Jarvis, CEO, Giga Metals, Giga, Toronto Venture Exchange. Mark, appreciate that update. Look forward to checking back in when you hit the wire again.
Cheers. Okay, well, thanks, Rob.